Hey y'all, welcome to the filling station. It has been an interesting day in the market. So in today's video, we are looking at inside day candles for tomorrow, which is August the 7th. But I wanted to do kind of like a recap of today because it's been an interesting day, right? So let me go ahead and give my disclaimer first. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, let's get started. So we are looking at the SPY, and this is the 5-minute chart. So if you traded the SPY today, congratulations, because you could have made money going up and on the way down, right? So it's interesting to see us, go from 517.87, which was the low, to this 529, which was the high, 529.75. Now, what was interesting is that we went back down from 529 all the way back down to this low here, bouncing off of this 519.21. So it kind of brought us back to this gathering spot that we have labeled. That's why it's so important, to find your gathering spot, or where price consolidated, or, where they all met up is what I like to say, right? So as we look at here, we see the 5 and the 50 cross. I'm going to see if I can make that a little bit bigger here. Right here, the MACD crossed first. That was confirmation. Double bottom 2, breaking out of the gathering spot 3. There's other way, we making higher highs. There are so many confirmations to enter the SPY to the upside. Now, we had pre-market support here at 519.21, and resistance was around 519.79. And if you look at the end of the day, do you see where price came back to? And this is after hours. I mean, the market closed here at the great shaded area here. So this was our 4 o'clock, 3:55, 4 o'clock candle here. Price came back to the gathering spot. I had to point that out really quick, right? So that's why I say it's so important to mark that pre-market. It is for me to mark that pre-market, because normally price comes back to that gathering spot, because that's, the gathering place, right? So again, it broke out of the gathering spot. We had other confirmations as to it was okay to enter this trade. Again, looking at it on the 5-minute chart, we knew that we could have trouble going, back to the upside. This is a great example of riding the 5, because if you entered this trade here, again, the 5 and the 50 crossing is another confirmation. And if you entered the trade and just stayed above it, with the 5 EMA, if you would have just entered and stayed in the trade up until this point, that still would have been a nice trade, right? And if you're a scalper, you could have got back out only, back to the downside, to scalp to the downside, only to get back in and ride the wave back to the upside, right? So again, if you traded the SPY today, it was a nice trade. It was just sometimes, you could have got in it, stayed in it, and, made your profit, or you could have scalped in and out. So whatever works best for you. But again, it was a nice trade. It's interesting that when I went back to look at Nvidia's chart, and the SPY almost looks the same, because you can see we had a double bottom here off of the early morning, only to go back up and kind of have the same wave pattern almost as the SPY. And as you can see, we reached a high here only to come back down and have this nice little sell-off. So it looks like the SPY and Nvidia's charts kind of look the same almost on the 5 minutes. So I'm going to go back to the SPY just to look at it, right? This is the SPY. We went up only to come back down. I'm going to go back to the video really quick. We went up only to come back down. So it seems as if, everything kind of, well, minus Tesla. Tesla did not quite make that cut today. So Tesla is Tesla as always. So yeah, the market has been really interesting. And like I said, if you can get in at the right time and out at the right time, you can make some decent moves. The most important thing is to know when to get in and when to get out. Sometimes, we tend to overstay our welcome, and then we end up losing because of that. So it's important to remember where your gathering places are, where you're going to have trouble, where's your support, where's your resistance. And when it goes against your why, I always say that get out, right? So, okay, with that being said, let's go look at some inside day candles for tomorrow, which is August the 7th. Apple And I'm going to go to the 30-minute chart. I just like the 30-minute chart, right? So Apple is an inside day candle above 210.20, gives us a target of 213.50 or 213.49. So if we break under this 293, the target to the downside for Apple is 195.90. So I would say trade carefully if you trade Apple tomorrow. It is an inside day candle. Apple normally moves $7.08 per day on average. And keep in mind, we are really close to this 200 EMA, which is down here on the daily chart at 192.81. So if we break this 195.90, we could very well come down to the 192.81 for Apple. So again, Apple is an inside day candle. It closed at 207.23. To the downside, it will need to break the 293 to come back down for a downside target of 193.90. Keep in mind that $7 can be in either direction, right? So Coinbase is an inside day candle. If by chance we break above 197.52, then 197.80 is the target to the upside. Now, to the downside, if we break under this 182.29, then 160.28 is the target for Coinbase. And it closed at 194.17, so that's something to be mindful of. Coinbase normally moves about $20.04 per day, again in either direction. What's interesting is we are right at this 200 EMA, 191.58. So we can bounce from here and go back to the upside, or we can continue declining to the downside. Just know the 5 and the 50 has crossed on this daily chart. That's interesting. That's why we see a little decline here. Just know that the 5 EMA at 203.87 is something to watch if you trade Coinbase. Just know that if we get back above the 203.87, it is above the 5 EMA again on the daily chart. And that $20.04 for Coinbase can be in either direction. So I say trade carefully if you trade Coinbase. Enphase, ENPH, is an inside day candle. It normally moves $7.44 per day. And if it break above 104.83 tomorrow, then the target is $100 and 108.46. So if it breaks 104.83, 108.46 is the target. To the downside, if it break under $100.65, then the target to the downside is $96.78. And again, it moves $7.44 per day. It did bounce off of this ATR trailing stop. So that's going to be interesting to watch. If you trade Enphase or ENPH, just know that 744 is in either direction. In the market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. EXC is an inside day candle. It normally moves 76 cents per day. If it breaks above 37.97, then the target to the upside is 39.90. If we break under 37.47, then the target to the downside is 37.44. So that 76 cents can be in either direction. If you trade EXC, I say trade carefully. Ford, F, is an inside day candle. It normally moves 56 cents per day. And if it breaks above this level of $9.87, then the target to the upside is $9.90. If we break under 9.64, then the target to the downside is 9.49. Again, it moves 56 cents per day. FAST, F-A-S-T, is an inside day candle above 67.23, gives us a target of 67.81. Under 65.48 gives us a downside target of 65.37. GFAI is an inside day candle. If by chance we break above $1.69, then the target to the upside is $1.69. That's interesting. So we have $1.69 and $1.69. To the downside, if we break under $1.54, then $1.45 is the target. And how much does it normally move per day? 25 or 20 cents. So Google, G-O-O-G, is an inside day candle. If we break above 162.33, then the target to the upside is here. Let's see. 165.81. If we break under 158.13, downside target 156.60. GOOG normally moves $5.26 per day, and it was an inside weak candle, and as you can see, we have definitely reached the downside target for that, and it seems to be bouncing off of this 200 EMA on the daily chart. So if you trade GOOG Google, I would say trade carefully. It is an inside day candle. GOOGL is also an inside day candle. Above 160.43 gives us a target here of 164.56. If we break under the 154.33, we have a downside target of 154.80. 154.83. Again, it moves $5.30. That can be in either direction. If you trade Google, GOOG, or GOOGL, trade carefully, trade cautiously, let's say that. So Kroger is an inside day candle. If by chance we break above 54.85, then 55.15 is the target. If we break under 53.99, downside target is 53.66. Kroger normally moves about $1.04 per day again, and that can be in either direction. MU is an inside day candle above $90.86, gives us a target of 92.49. If we break under 87.15, we have a downside target of 84.79, and MU Micron normally moves about $5.73 per day, again in either direction, right? So if you trade Micron, trade carefully. NEE is an inside day candle. If it breaks above 78.39, 79.06 is the target. Now to the downside, if we break under the 76.65, we have a downside target of 76.49, and NEE normally moves about $2 per day on average ATR, and that could be in either direction, right? So NEO is an inside day candle. If it breaks above $3.92, then $3.97 is the target. If we break under $3.76, then $3.66 is the target, and NEO normally moves 23 cents per day. NVIDIA is not an inside day candle. Oxy is an inside day candle. Oxy normally moves $1.49 per day. That's the ATR, average true range for the stock, and it could move higher or lower. Let's say that it's not guaranteed. So if Oxy breaks above the 56.64, just know that 56.71 is the target. Under 56.01 gives us a target of 55.02. If you trade Oxy, trade carefully. Again, it moves $1.49 per day. Plug Power. Plug is an inside day candle. If by chance we break above 225, then the upside target is the 225. If we break under $2.10, then $1.95 is the target, and Plug normally moves 22 cents per day. PayPal is an inside day candle. If we break above $30.60, then $31.18 is the target. If we break under $30.06, then the downside target is $29.96. And PayPal normally moves 60 cents per day. Again, that can be in either direction. So if you trade PayPal, I say trade carefully. So SLB is an inside day candle. If by chance we break above 44.20, then the target to the upside is 44.31. If we break under 43.34, then the target to the downside for SLB is 43.34. It normally moves $1.37 per day, again in either direction, right? SoFi is an inside day candle. If we break above $6.62, then $6.79 is the target. If we break under $6.39, our downside target is $6.01. Again, SoFi normally moves about 45 cents per day in either direction. So if you trade SoFi, I say trade carefully. Space is an inside day candle, and if it break above, let's say, this area is $5.59, then we have a target to the upside here at 606. If by chance we break under this level of 559, then we have a downside target of $5.30. And space normally moves about 63 cents per day. So if you trade space, I always say trade carefully, right? So TDOC is an inside day candle. If we break above this level here of 774, then the 781 is the target. If we break under 731, then we have a downside target here of 731. So again, it moves 56 cents per day, and that's in either direction. So it closed at 749. I always say trade carefully, right? So TDOC is an inside day candle. Tesla is an inside day candle, and I know that is really difficult to see, so I'm going to go to another time frame, which is here. If Tesla break, let's say, above this level here of 202.90, then our target to the upside is here at 203.88. And if by chance we break under 192.67, which we were not far from that, 192.67 gives us a downside target here, let's see, of 182 even. So if Tesla break where we are now and breaks under the 192.67, then 182 is the target. If we go back to the upside above 202.90, then 203.88 is the target. And let's see how much Tesla, the average true range or the ATR for Tesla is normally, let's see, $14.21 per day. So Tesla can move that $14.21 in either direction. So I always say Tesla does what it does. If you trade Tesla, trade carefully, right? The VIX is an inside day candle. So that's something. Tomorrow should definitely be an interesting trading day. So for the VIX, if we break above 34.82, then the target to the upside again is back at this 65.73. So if we break above 34.82, we could have a target of 65.73. If by chance we break under 24.02, then the downside target is here at 21.51. So again, the VIX should be an interesting trading day tomorrow. I'm going to set my alert above, right around at 38.57, because if we break above this for the VIX, we could very well move back to that 65 area, which will in turn bring the SPY. SPY normally goes to the downside. When the VIX is up, the SPY is normally down. I have to say that sometimes, right? So WOOF, WOOF, is an inside day candle. If by chance we break above 275, then 278 is the target. If we break under the 259 area, just know that our target to the downside is the 259. So WOOF normally moves about 26 cents per day, again in either direction. So if you trade WOOF, I say trade carefully. So Z is an inside day candle. And if it breaks above this 43.50 area, then 43.67 is the target. If we break under 42.34, the downside target is $41.72. And Z normally moves about $2.15 per day in either direction. So I say trade carefully, right? So Zoom is an inside day, or ZM is an inside day candle. If we break above 56.72, 56.91 is the target to the upside. If by chance we break under 55.62, we have a downside target of 55.55. So these, and Zoom, let me give the ATR for that. Zoom normally moves about $1.51. Again, that could be in either direction. It did close at 55.83. So these are inside day candles for tomorrow, which is August the 7th. And I always say anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. This is just gives us a guide, possibly of, it kind of helps us build a watch list, or trading watch list, or our watch list, things that we could trade and have a possible support and resistance or price target if it breaks this area. So again, y'all, I hope these videos are very, very helpful. I always say that, we learn and we grow together. So if you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, because we learn and we grow together. So y'all, I always like to leave you with this: be blessed as well as a blessing unto others. Until next time.